Okay, shoot.
I wanted to start off by saying, well done. You know, reading the book and even going through some of the stuff today to kind of summarize and get some of the questions. I feel really proud. I'm really proud for you, really happy for you, that you've been on this journey and you've come out the other side. And it seems to all be going really well for you. So I admire your courage. I admire your the way that you now prioritize yourself and self-love. Sometimes only pampering yourself, but self-love is also learning to say no. And I feel like you're the concept of that. So if any of the questions are too intrusive or you find it a bit too difficult, just say, and then we'll move on to another one. So
Okay, that's fine.
we have 7 questions.
Okay.
And 1 bonus question in the end, but it's a happy question. So
Okay.
yeah, so we'll just jump straight into it. And again, if there's anything that is too intrusive, then just let me know. So just give me a little overview of how you feel now after you've written the book.
I still can't believe, to be honest, I still can't believe it happened. So I'm good. I'm feeling relieved because I think there was a lot. I hesitated quite a lot, even when it was finished. I was really hesitant in releasing it, and that's why when came this year, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna book a date. I'm just gonna book a day to do the launch, so that I know that day is booked and I come back down. So for me, it's as you know, it's been a journey, but having now published it, I'm like, you know what, it's done and I'm good. And the feedback I'm getting, obviously, is something that's encouraging me and still making me believe that, obviously, hey, Edmund, and still making me, it just reassures you that this is a God thing. Do you see what I mean? Because at times you think, I knew it was of God, but then you still want this reassurance to know that this what I'm doing is of God, and now getting the feedbacks and the way people are being touched by the book, it's just amazing. I mean, I've never thought in a million years my name will be on a book, and that the book will be out there. So yeah, I feel good. I feel good.
That's really good, because the book kind of came as a surprise to me, because I used to follow a lot of the stuff you would write on your blog. And I didn't even know that the book was kind of in the mix with that, but I would understand some of your apprehensiveness or hesitation with wanting to write the book, because there's certain things in there that's quite personal, So when I went through one of the chapters this morning, one of the questions that came up or came to my mind when I was reviewing some of the stuff was that around abuse, when you in the care system and stuff like that. So, have you ever considered like reporting that, or could you just tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, okay. So I think the chapter is it with every heartbreaks. I think that's the chapter. And I think it's chapter 4. I've written enough. So in chapter 4, I know whoever's on this hasn't read the book. Chapter 4 is quite, the title says it all, I think, with every heartbreaks. And I'll go through different phases in my life where I've suffered from heartbreak. And the one you're referring to is the sexual abuse. I never actually thought of reporting it. At the time, as you've read, I was quite young. So to me, all I wanted to do is block it out and just not even think about it. Hey, sorry, I'm just waving at people. So I just wanted to block it out. And I think I was even too young to even understand. Though I understood that what she did to me was wrong, I didn't even think that anyone would believe me. It's kind of the same thought process that you go through. It's like, okay, you've been sexually abused. Who do you turn to? Are they even going to believe you? Okay, let me just block it out and make it as if it never happened. And like I say in my book, it took me a long time to even forget about it. And then once I forgot about it, it never, the memory of it never actually resurfaced until I started writing the book again. And I remember getting that flashback, and I was like, ooh, when you feel like, And I was like, Lord, should I really be writing about this? And should I really be putting it out there for people to know that this has happened to me? And then the worst part of it is obviously when you've been sexually abused, is, you know, it's bad enough that it's, you know, when it's a man, but then as a woman, now I'm thinking, okay, I've been sexually abused by another woman. We were not women at that time, but then you realize that, hold on, like, oh my goodness. So at my age, at my big age now, this happened. I was 9, you know, going on 10. So this happened quite young. I'm thinking, you know, right now, is there a point of going to report it? The person, obviously, that was in foster care, I only had her first name, you know, yeah. And the question was, did I ever thought of reporting it? No, it's shame. I think when you block it out, it's out of shame and not something you really want to, yeah, it's not something that you really want out there. And again, it took me, you know, when you're writing, you're typing and then you delete, you're typing and you delete, and then the Lord was like, no, it needs to be part of the book. It has to be part of the book, because that explains quite, you know, afterwards how I was dealing with certain stuff in my teenage years. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as you kind of spoke about that, one of the things that I was thinking about is, you know, for me as a parent, I was thinking, you know, where was your mom in all of these situations? I know where she was, but had she had been there, you know, how do you think that situation would have panned out? Do you think you would have felt more comfortable to say or anything like that?
To be honest, no. I felt a lot of shame. Though obviously you come to understand that it's not your fault. It's you know, it's not your fault. But then I don't think I was even open to tell anyone. I don't think I was open to tell anyone. I just wanted it to stop, and I wanted to forget, and then that was it, and then move on with, you know, my feelings and however I could have moved on at that time. I mean, I was quite young, so it took time to process the fact that obviously I've been sexually abused. Oh, and then yeah, let's try and block it and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you know, sometimes when things happen, we kind of block it out, as you say, or push it to the back of your mind. But what happens is the effects of these things are not apparent or not what obvious straight away, and they go on in our lives. Later on, we start seeing certain behaviors surfacing or certain tendencies or certain things. Is looking back with hindsight now, is there any kind of behaviors that you would have exhibited or mindsets that you would have had that would that you could have directly relate to having some of these experiences?
Yes. So I question myself, and I said that in the book, that about my sexuality. Not that I've ever been with a woman, apart from obviously what happened. But I did question myself. I was like, you know, does that make me a lesbian? Do I actually like girls? You know, like you question yourself. But I knew I liked men anyway. But I still question myself. Like, maybe since she's done that, that means, you know, girls are maybe more attracted to me. So maybe that means that I could be, or should I try? You know, should I try? Should I? And in my teen years as well, I talked to that about that in the book. Is that I tried to, you know, as soon as boys started showing me some sort of attention that was more than friendship, I played on that. I played on that a lot. That, you know, guys were finding me attractive, and then I would, you know, I became, anyway, to be blunt, I became a flirt. let's just say I just became a flirt just to prove the point that, okay, no, I'm not attracted to women. Men are actually now attracted to me, and let me just play on that and make sure that obviously the more attention I was getting, the more sort of confidence I was now gaining in the fact that, okay, I'm actually, you know, heterosexual. I don't know. That was to confirm that, okay, I actually like guys and guys actually like me, so I can breathe. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's quite good. I was present at your book launch, and that was really nice. Enjoyed that, and I actually was fortunate enough to get a copy of the book, which we have here, signed by yourself. Thank you for that. But one of the things that that really stood out at your book launch is the relationship with your sister in the absence of your mom. So you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. So I grew up with so when we were in foster care, I was always with my big sister. So having her around, it's always been the case of us like that. That was, I'm here, she's there, I'm here, she's there. So we bonded that way through our struggles where she was there, I was there. So that there is this fusion that we have, and at times obviously it's kind of annoying because she would want to play the mom, and I was quite annoyed. But you know what? It was still out of love. So when our mother passed away, which she passed away, we were quite young. I was 13, going on 14, and then my big sister was 15, going on 16. And she, obviously being the big sister, wanted to watch, to look after us. But funny enough, when my mom passed away, I was the stronger one at that time. I was the one taking care of her and my younger siblings. So the roles were sort of switched. But she's always been there for me, even when I didn't want her to be there. Even, you know, what the parts she said at the book launch where she came and broke my front door. But she's always been there. And I really, you know, I'm grateful, obviously, to have a big sister, because I don't know how I would have actually coped with so many things that I've been through without having her by my side. She has taken on the mother's role anyway, because, you know, as you have read, we grew up in foster care, foster family, and we've always been together. So she was my family, even though we were in foster family, she was my family. And being older than me, then obviously I was kind of, she would want to protect me and I would want to protect her. So we've bonded that way. We're still quite close. There's been times when we were sort of not that close, but we've always made sure that we were in each other's life and making things happen. Because even at the time when my mom passed away, we were split up, and it was quite hard because I didn't really bond like that with my younger siblings. So for me and her, that was the first time ever we were split up, and for me it was really, really hard to live through those the couple of years where we were split up. Yeah, it's a nice bond. I mean, yeah.
I think in the book launch it was quite clear to see that you guys have a really good relationship, a healthy relationship, and one that is supportive of each other. So that was really nice to see. But in some of the chapters, you know, that family support and that mentoring support hasn't always been there. So it kind of brings me back to the period in the book after you got pregnant, you know, and you know, your dad and the lady from church, they pretty much disowned you, you know. So that is the opposite of what you just kind of expressed with your sister. So do you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think you know what, there's a thing with African families and parents. I'm not saying all of them are like that, so please, whoever's watching, that's not what I'm saying. But to be, you know, I was in my early 20s when I became pregnant. So I'm not married. And obviously I'm now pregnant. So I think for my dad it was a shock. And obviously you know, he had just got to know me. So for him it was a shock. I was crushed in a way that, you know, I've come to sort of live here to get to know you, and this happened, and now you don't want to talk to me, and you forbid my sisters to associate with me. It was very, very, I was hurt. I was hurt as well because he didn't want to hear my side of the story. And he only had one side of the story, and then he didn't want to hear his own daughter. So I was very, very crushed by that. The lady from church you're referring to is the pastor you're referring to. You can say it's the pastor. Yeah, well, I was shocked, you know, because after your own, as a Christian, I would think, you know, that we all feel the same, that after your own blood family, you do obviously have your friends who, you know, my friends are sort of my family as well, blood family. part of that circle. And then there's the church, which becomes also your family. So for the pastor to react the way she did, though I understood the shock that she must have had, there was no need for it. The way she just shunned me, I was like, okay. It's a nice bond. I mean, yeah.
Yes. I think in the book launch, it was quite clear to see that you guys have a really good relationship, a healthy relationship, and one that is supportive of each other. So that was really nice to see. But in some of the chapters, that family support and that mentoring support hasn't always been there. So it kind of brings me back to the period in the book after you got pregnant, and your dad and the lady from church, they pretty much disowned you, so that is the opposite of what you just kind of expressed with your sister. So do you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think you know what, there's a thing with African families and parents. I'm not saying all of them are like that, so please, whoever's watching, that's not what I'm saying. But to be I was in my early 20s when I became pregnant. So I'm not married. And obviously I'm now pregnant. So I think for my dad it was a shock. And obviously he had just got to know me. So for him it was a shock. I was crushed in a way that, I've come to sort of live here to get to know you, and this happened, and now you don't want to talk to me, and you forbid my sisters to associate with me. It was very, very, I was hurt. I was hurt as well because he didn't want to hear my side of the story. And he only had one side of the story, and then he didn't want to hear his own daughter. So I was very, very crushed by that. The lady from church you're referring to is the pastor you're referring to. You can say it's the pastor. Yeah, well, I was shocked, because after your own, as a Christian, I would think, that we all feel the same, that after your own blood family, you do obviously have your friends who, my friends are sort of my family as well, blood family, part of that circle. And then there's the church, which becomes also your family. So for the pastor to react the way she did, though I understood the shock that she must have had, there was no need for it. The way she just shunned me, I was like, okay. And I really felt alone. Throughout my whole pregnancy, I genuinely felt alone, and sort of misunderstood, and there's the shame as well of being pregnant. I was obviously coming from a church background. It's like, oh, that didn't look great. That didn't look great at all. So I went into hiding out of shame. But yeah, and also after everything that I heard, it didn't seem like anyone would understand what I was going through. So I just cut ties with the church, family, and just did.
Wow.
Went through my pregnancy alone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the role of a father and the role of the Christian community.
God as well, because I was angry with God through many things. Because obviously being pregnant at that age, not only was I pregnant, I was alone because the father of that child decided that this wasn't for him. I felt let down. I felt like I let myself down and I let God down. And then at some point it was like I let God down, and at some point I was like, God, you let me down, because that wasn't my kind of initial prayer as I was growing up. After my teen years, that wasn't the hopes that I had for myself, and I surely didn't want it to be that way. So encounters work, like it was really, really helpful to do that.
So when you speak about this, it's just kind of making me reflect, and in that reflection is saying, a lot of the time when, teenage or early or even, full adult women get pregnant, they have to take responsibility a lot more than the men. And I really think that is fair, because it takes two. But so you said you went through the process of healing and going on an encounter. Is there one particular moment that you could say something changed in your mind to make you think, okay, I'm ready to go back to church now? Or I feel okay
Okay.
to.
Hmm. That's a good question. You know, I can't remember. I can't remember because I still so after my daughter was a couple of months old, I did go to church. But then I didn't feel that connection. I was going to church because, you know, as religiously, you know that Sundays for God to go to church. But then I had dropped church for maybe 6 months. I can't remember anyway. I dropped church for quite some time. And then when my daughter, I think she was about 4 or 5 months, I went to church to have her dedicated, and then I started attending again, but I wasn't like every Sunday, so I didn't feel that connection. Then went on an encounter. I think it's at that point when you realize that we're only humans, and you have to just forgive. You have to, you know, I was able to reflect back and understand, not that what they did was right, but then I was able to understand why dad will react that way. Not that, again, not that it makes it okay, but then it's their own, you know, his own hope that he had for me. And then the pastor is the same. The way she was nurturing me to, you know, because I was in ministry as well at that time. So they had their own way of obviously seeing me, maybe thinking I was that. I don't know. I really don't know. But anyway, at that point, forgiveness, you know, forgiveness happened, release happened, and he was like, you know what, I'm ready to start again. And yeah, that's when it all kicked off. But that wasn't a, yeah, that wasn't, yeah, I think that, but it still took time. I'm not going to say that from that encounter and that forgiveness, I
Yeah.
straight away went back to church and I straight away felt connected. It
Yeah.
took some time. It took
Yes.
some time, and healing takes time, and I had to allow God to heal me, because there are pains that we carry at times that we feel entitled to carry, and it's
Yeah.
like, no, that's my pain. I'm, you know, I don't want to let go of that, and especially when you're aware that, okay, you know, what if I mess up again? I don't want. I want to remember that this person is definitely not going to be nice to me, so that I'm guarding myself
Right.
and not really letting go of what they've done. So it took some time. It took some time to get to where I got with God and with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you did get there. So we thank God for that. So things have progressed. You've gone back to church. You know, you had your first child and things have progressed.
Mm.
So that kind of brought me on to the bit of relationships,
Mm.
infidelity, and you've had some experience with infidelity, and you
Yeah.
kind of explained that in quite some detail. So could you just tell us a little bit about that?
All right. So that was basically when I met my son's dad. So my first child is my daughter. The second one is a boy. When I met my son's dad, I wasn't fully healed, and I had just decided to do like to celebrate. I was like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna celebrate, and I'm really gonna commit to not having a boyfriend and not dating. And then I think it was a week after I said it that I actually met him. Um, so the relationship first was, it was quite funny. We obviously liked each other, otherwise we wouldn't have gone out. But from the beginning, I don't know how much you want me to detail, but from the beginning, I think I was I was lacking confidence in myself. And I'm really gonna commit to not having a boyfriend and not dating. And then I think it was a week after I said it that I actually met him. Um, so the relationship first was, it was quite funny. We obviously liked each other, otherwise we wouldn't have gone out. But from the beginning, I don't know how much you want me to detail, but from the beginning, I think I was lacking confidence in myself. I was very lacking self-esteem. I wouldn't say I had no confidence. There was area of my life where I was confident that, yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm actually good, especially when it comes to work and you know, other places. But then within myself as a person, I lacked self-esteem and I lacked confidence. And then I thought, and then I was told many times that my standards were quite high, and that, oh, you'll never find someone if you drop down. And plus, you know, you have a child, you know, and now you have to lower a bit because you have a child. How can you expect someone to want to be with you with those standards? And plus, you have a child. You know, it was just a lot of combination. I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, kind of thinking now you're sort of damaged good, so you have to lower your standard because you're damaged good. So make sure that, you know, the one who comes, you know, you're a bit soft. So I obviously lowered my standards. This guy started coming, so we were going out. It was fine at the beginning, you know, and then he started coming back with love bites on his neck, and I would be like questioning him, and he was like, oh no, my friend, obviously female friend, she wanted to see what a love bite looks like, so I let her, you know, try it on me. And because I was, like I said, lacking self-esteem and all that, I would be like, and then I was quite naive as well. That was a bit silly, but I was like, okay, you know, like I was a bit hurt, but I was like, you know what, is this really a good reason for me to end this relationship? And to be honest, it was. But anyway, at that time, I feel like, you know what, Paulette, nah, don't be like that. Like, you know, and again, you play that record of, you know, you've got a child, and who's going to want a person with a child is already there, you know, taking, you know, playing with your child and everything. So I said, okay, no, that's not a good reason. So as we went along, obviously what you allow will continue. So from love bites, it became different stuff. And I remember one day, this was obviously, he cheated on me countless times. And sometimes I knew, sometimes I didn't. But there was a one time he actually left for a whole month with my car. And I think I speak about that in the book. Didn't know where it was. You know, he would call here and there, but telling me, oh, I'm at my friends and all that. I mean, what can I do? So, Ryodon, your internet's gone. Anyway, I'll continue the story. So, yeah, so here and there, and to only find out that he was actually shacked up. He had actually shacked up with someone else. Guys, sorry if you're on the live. I think Ryodon's internet is bugging. Okay, he's actually left. He's actually left. Let me just try and add him again. Sorry, guys, technical problems. Let's see how.
Yeah.
Hey, that was your internet. Yeah. Hi, sorry. So so yeah, so he had actually gone and shacked up with someone else, but there was a lot of cheating involved, whether I knew it or I didn't, or sometimes I turned a blind eye. To be honest, there were times where I knew, and I just didn't want to know. Like, you know, but you don't want to know, so you pretend that you don't know. The major one was probably the one when he got the other. So I was pregnant with our son, and then he got someone else pregnant at that time. So that was probably the time where he hurt the most. That was probably, if I recall it, that was the time where I was really, really, really hurt and crushed. Because I thought to myself, you know what, I've allowed a lot of things to happen, and I've bared with him and through the ups and downs, and then for him to now go and do that, it was a shock. It was a shock. Yeah. So I'm not sure how I don't know whether am I answering the question? Am I not answering the question? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, cheating breaks you a lot, because then you end up questioning yourself. I'm questioning myself of, you know, am I even that good? Am I even going to ever find love? And what if he leaves? And who am I going to be with now? Am I even going to be able to find love again? Is this even love? Is this, you know, there's so many questions that passes through your mind at that time, that, you know, I was just sitting there looking silly, and not knowing what I should be doing. Right. I didn't know what I should be doing, and I didn't know who to tell, because I was ashamed, like, you know, to go and tell someone that, oh, my boyfriend's cheating on me. And then, you know, it's a bit hard, it's a bit heavy to tell someone, you know, and then having to maybe make a fool out of yourself for even allowing yourself to do that, to carry on that relationship. Yeah.
Wow, that must be deal with.
Ryodon, sorry, do you want to put your headset, because now you're breaking for some reason? I'm not sure. And I drink water. You doing that? Oh.
Is this any better?
Oh, it's much better. So much better.
Okay.
Wow.
No problem.
Yeah.
So I was saying that must have been quite a tough situation to be in, experiencing all these emotions, having all these different things going on, and not being able to speak to anybody about it.
Mm.
So how do you feel like the effects of infidelity kind of, what should I say, how did that affect your mind?
I mean, after you sort of become paranoid, don't you? Because then every time the person goes out, you're thinking, oh, is he out to go see someone, or is he even going to come back? And like I said, it really breaks you down. The fact that you feel like there's something missing in you, or something you're not doing properly, something you're not giving properly. So you don't even question the person. You now end up questioning yourself, which is what I was doing. Obviously, questioning my worth. Is this me? Is it about me? Is this is he still going to be doing it? Is he going to stop? It becomes a whole cycle of questions that actually no one even has answers to. And there is a need for you yourself, who is in that situation, to step out and just build your strength and step out of. Because again, what you allow will continue, and this is something I've allowed him to do. And obviously, he had that liberty, that freedom of doing it countless times, because
Yes.
at that time I wasn't strong enough to just put a stop to it.
Yeah. So what kind of stand out to me in this is the effects of isolation. So in a certain sense, you are isolated. The negative self-talk started coming into your mind, criticizing yourself, questioning things. And when you're isolated, normally you make decisions that you won't normally make, and you accept things that you won't normally accept. So as things progressed, there was some domestic violence as well. So how did you kind of deal with that? And what made you stay in the relationship after the first instance of domestic violence?
Okay, good. I always get that question. You always get that question. So why did I stay after the first instance? So after the first instance, I stayed because it was very, to me, it was very remorseful, close to tears, it looked like he was shocked at what he had done. So I thought to myself, you know what, this may be actually the first time he's ever done that. And because obviously he was telling me that he would never do it again. So I had to, I feel like, no, actually, I won't say I had, but I wanted to believe it.
Right.
I made the choice to believe that it will never happen again. But as you've read from the book, obviously it happened countless time after that. But at that moment, I made that decision that, you know what, if it looks like he really means it, and it was the first time, was also for this to happen. So I wanted to believe that it will never happen again. But obviously, being at the receiving end of domestic violence, it's something that, you would rather someone tell, like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to really put words into how I felt. But it makes you feel small. it makes you feel small when a man is beating on you. You feel very, very small. Because I was thinking, I was thinking I'm at big age, like someone is beating me, like I'm a child, and I couldn't understand it. Like I never, and I never got, and also you don't get the explanation because I know that I didn't do anything that was that provoked you that that provoked that much anger. You see what I mean? That I'm like, but what exactly have I said or done that made this man do this? And then because the person doesn't even understand what they've done, as far as I know, he didn't seem to understand at the end when he calmed down and you sort of ask like, what exactly have I done, blah blah. He would never, first of all, want to talk about it. But then the times when we tried to sort of understand, he never actually gave me an answer. So I'm like, okay, but I've never done anything to you for you to beat on me. Like I'm whoa. Like at times it was like, you're thinking some women actually get into like they're fighting their partner, like someone is beating on you and you're fighting back. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna fight back. But I'm not fighting back. But then the more I'm not fighting back, the more you're beating me. So basically, what exactly do you want? Because I'm not provoking you into that much anger for you to not let go. Like, like if you get, not that I'm saying it's okay, but like the guy gets angry, slap, okay, you're like, he's slapped, his anger is out. But then when you get angry to the point that you're slapping, you're choking, it's like, what have I done? Because I'm not even slapping you back. I'm not even trying to punch you back. So what exactly explains what you're doing? So that's why you end up feeling very small and feeling sort of crushed and rubbish about yourself and just thinking that, okay, like, do I deserve it? Like, but then he would tell you that you deserved it. But then what did I do exactly to deserve it? But then you don't want to explain. So it's kind of going round and round. So you don't want to, you say I deserved it, then you don't want to explain why I deserved it. Then when I try to talk a bit more, then I get beaten even more. And then, it just makes you feel like the times when I cried, I just felt, you just look like a fool. I'm just like, are you a fool? Like, why is this guy beating on you? Like you insulted his mother, or like you scratched his car, or whatever. Even though those things are not excuses, but at least I would have understood that, okay, I'm actually getting beaten up because I've done something that pushed him to that point. But
that must have been quite scary for you, having those experiences with two kids in the house sometimes and different things like that. That must have been quite scary for you.
Yeah, it was scary, and many times I'd actually, there's been a few times where I thought, you know what, I could die. I could die, and even though he would tell you, oh no, I know exactly where I'm hitting, but you don't know, because I could be standing by the door and you slap me and my head bounces against the door and then I faint or whatever. There's so many things that can happen when someone is angry or in that kind of rage. I'm like, you know what, you don't know, because if the next day when I show you, the bruises and the markings, that, oh, did I do that? Yes, you did that. So obviously you're not even conscious of the things you're doing out in your rage. You're not conscious. So yeah, you can grab the knife and stab me. But like I say in my book, there's been occasions where I actually run out of the house because I was like, you know what, it's about to get nasty, and I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with this is very important for us to remember the things that people say and the things that people do says more about them than it says about you. And when people do things, we try to make sense of it sometimes. And sometimes, when there's different things involved, you would never be able to make sense of it.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is take responsibility for ourselves. And I think, the people involved or the gentlemen involved, they need to take responsibility for themselves. What do you think you could do differently to ensure that this doesn't happen in future relationships?
Good question. To be honest, I'm at a point where I've learned red sign. What is it? Red signals, red signs, red
Red
signals,
flags?
red flags. Sorry, I know it's red, but I'm actually literally recognizing those signs, and I'm not prepared to even hear your excuses, because I remember after I ended my relationship, I met someone. We were not dating or anything, but and obviously he was interested in me, and then we started talking. But then one day we were having disagreements, and then the way he raised his voice, I was like, I'm not doing that. I don't mind us not agreeing on something, but the way he, and maybe it was due to my own trauma, but I was like, you know what, this is a no. I'm not even gonna try and get in a relationship if we can't argue over this. If we're arguing over something and you're having to prove your point, you're having to be sort of aggressive in wanting to prove your point. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So for me, obviously, to not get into the same kind of toxic relationship, I've had to go through healing, first of all, build my confidence, raise my standards again, know exactly what I'm looking for in a partner, and not, lower those standards, and not allow anyone even to make me feel that my standards are high, because I know what I want in a man. And surely there's a man out there who has it. I mean, I'm not asking for tons and tons, but it's sort of sticking to those standards and knowing what you deserve, and definitely not at the sign of red flags. If those red flags are in my non-negotiables, then I'm sorry, I won't negotiate on that, and I will not go. Definitely won't go again with a man's potential, because sometimes what we do as female, we like to see the potential in men, and then we'll say, okay, yeah, I can be with him, and I can change him, I can encourage him to do this, to do that. But if the man is not himself seeing that, or even wanting to work towards that potential, then there's no point, and I'm not doing potential anymore. I'm definitely not doing potential. So it's either you are, you can't, maybe the full package will be good, but then you have to type certain aspects of the man that I'm desiring. You have to have those ones for me to give you the time of the day. So no.
So what's some of those characteristics?
I knew you would ask. So the top of my list is, it has to be a man of God, who has a relationship with God, because man of God can be so broad, but he has to have a relationship with God. That's my top. That's my non-negotiable. That's something I'm not prepared to negotiate on, and I won't budge. That one I won't budge at all. Second, he has to obviously love me, love my kids more than me would be great. I mean, yeah, they're probably the one who needs to be showered with love more than I do. But someone who's honest, someone who has integrity, someone who can stick to their words, that I don't have to question. There's always questions, as human beings, we always have questions about our partners, blah blah. But I don't want to be sort of always looking back and always doing, or suspecting you. You have to be sort of, there has to be that transparency of a man, not of the male. I think you said that as well, like there's a difference between a man and a male, so yeah, I want a man, not a male. A man. So with that, yeah, I've done my list, because it really helped me to sort of process certain people who have come my way since then, and I was like, you know what, nah, it's not happening. Yeah, and then I've got a list of negotiables. We can negotiate on that, and I'm happy to.
That's a long list.
It's not even the long list. You know what? Because you have to know what you want. Because when you don't know what you want, you will try here and there, and then in trying here and there, I mean, you make your list of partners as long as the Eiffel Tower. So because you know what you want, therefore you are able to know. You're not wasting your time, and you're not wasting anybody else's time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm coming from. So I'm not wasting your time. Yes. Pretending that, oh yeah, you're nice, blah blah, when I know deep down that you're not actually making the cut. Then right. I'm not wasting your time, because obviously you can be onto the next girl who could be your wife,
Yes.
Let me help you move on towards, for you. Yeah. It's not long. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
qualities of a man. I mean, it's the qualities of a man. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, it's very clear that you've grown, you've developed, you've healed. But the specific question that I would like to ask is, have you forgiven the fathers of your children, in particular the second one? And
Mm.
how would you feel about him reading this book?
Oh, interesting. So, funny enough, with my daughter's dad, we met last year because my daughter's been asking to meet him. And when we met, though I was apprehensive, when we met, it was as if we saw each other like yesterday, like talking. We're talking like we're friends. To me, it was nice. That's how I knew that, you know what, I'm not mad at this guy. We're talking as if we're friends, joking, even recalling some things that we did back then. I was like, oh, do you remember the car, blah, 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 and we're laughing. I was like, and when I got home, I was like, what? I said, you know what, it can only be God.
Yeah.
And then for my son's dad, I have forgiven him. I even told him, before the whole thing, there's a whole piece of it in the book, but I have forgiven him. I even told him, and I said, you know what, I take my part of responsibility because some of the thing he did to me is because I've allowed it, and
Right.
I take my part of responsibility to have kept that relationship alive for that long. I mean, 6 years, nearly 6 years is not nothing. But I know that I should have, at some point, I should have just called it a day, but I wanted to keep it alive for my own, and obviously his own benefit as well. But so I stood in front of him one day and I said to him, I forgive you. And, I forgive you. And that I meant it. And I'd still mean it. How do I feel about him reading the book? He knows himself. He knows himself. Nothing that I've said in that book is a lie. Even if he wants to call it a lie, or if he wants to be hurt by it, that's his own. But I wouldn't go and write a book and release a book of lies. But I know it would probably be hurtful because there has been time where I had to tell him that, you did this to me, you did that to me, and it was genuinely. I mean, I said genuinely, only he would know, but I sort of sensed that he regretted it. But obviously having it now on the book, it's like, it's out there. I didn't name him. At the end of the day, I didn't name him, so no one knows. But people who know him and know that we were together would know that it's him. But it wasn't a book to shame him. It wasn't a book to poke at him. That wasn't the intention in it anyway. But it has been quite a big piece of my adulthood, which is not done, but it was a big piece of a big chunk of my, a big chunk of my adulthood. So I had to give it that long in the book for that sake. Yeah. So yeah, if you read it, there is still his own testimonies in the building. I don't know how he is right now, but he has himself a testimony, and who knows, maybe one day he will write a book as well, and make that change for himself. That would be good.
Right. So what part did this book play in your healing?
Oh, this book played a major part. Yeah, I would say he played a big part. He played a big part. 7 more minutes. Oh, Avina, thank you, Pa. So the writing the book played a big part because once you writing it, you're putting it down there. It's like it's gone. Like like you get to.
So what part did this book play in your healing?
Oh, this book played a major part. Yeah, I would say he played a big part. He played a big part. 7 more minutes. Oh, Avina, thank you, Pa. So the writing the book played a big part because once you writing it, you're putting it down there. It's like it's gone. Like like you get to release that piece. You release that piece. You release that piece. So I was you know, there are bits of that book when I wrote and I was literally tearing down. And for me, that wasn't tears of oh, I'm so sad. It was tears of like release. So it did play a big part. And at the end, you know, when you close that book and you're like, whoa, I've been through a lot, man. But God is good, because then the end, I really wanted to make sure that the end is what's happening right now, and there is more to it. But I really wanted to make sure that the end is on the end of the book is on a high note, because I know that chapter is probably like, but I wanted to make sure that the following chapters were really encouraging ones for people to know that, you know what, you can have a crap beginning, pardon me, you can have a very messed up beginning of life and messed up adult and teenage years, but then you could still, you know, you can still have, you know, the end that God has intended for your life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Yeah.
Wow. So I find the fate, you know, the cover of the book when you revealed it, quite fitting, you know, behind the smile, because when I first met you, you know, how warm you were, how welcoming you were, how professional you were in the setting that we were in, was truly amazing. I'm fascinated by all that you've been through and all of the things that you continue to do, given the experience that you've had. You know, you're a mother of two. You work full time. You serve in ministry. I see you at church all the time. You attend Bible school. You've released a book. All of this in spite of what has happened, and I'm truly amazed by that. So, well done. Keep up the good work. But the question I'm having is, what would the best year of your life look like?
Is that the final question?
Yeah.
What would the best year of my life look like? Yes. You know what? Take out coronavirus. That would be the best year of my life would be, I would say, be a bit more. I know that I'm walking in my purpose for sure.
This is freedom to dream here. Yeah. Freedom to dream.
Freedom to dream. Okay, in the ideal world, I'd love to meet someone. Maybe, yeah, I would love to get married in a year. You know, that would be good. So to meet someone would be nice. To be in a work that I feel fulfilled in, because I'm trying to change a career here where I can, you know, my brain cells could be used a bit more effectively. So having a good job, maybe not the perfect job, but something that is obviously giving me time, allowing me time to be in my ministry, allowing me time to be a mother, allowing me time to date and do all these things. So the perfect year would be, yes, meeting someone, starting to court, you know, being deeper in ministry, having a stronger relationship with God, building like strong friendships, having my besties around, and just having that time to just be me, because I feel more like me. You know, it's been, obviously I've been single for the past 4 years, and it took a bit of time for the healing process and everything. And at some point it's just been, whoa, this is me. Like, I feel more like me. So so I'm still building into that, you know, learning myself, things that trigger me, things that make me sad, things that triggers reactions that will, you know, will not be so good. Learning how to open up as well, because I was quite, you know, coming out of that relationship, I was quite closed up, but learning to open up in a healthy way, not because I do feel the need to be bonding with people, but
right.
Yeah, the ideal year would be that year, and my children thriving at school, being happy, not having the memories of the past that you know, even everything that I've wrote about. Some of my children have been through it, and it has been a trauma to them. You know, they've had counseling. My daughter's still going through counseling right now, and it's been something heavy on all three of us. And I want them to be happy. I want myself. I am happy, but obviously they haven't attained that yet. They are going towards it, but I am happy. The best year will be to be happier, and again, you know, be with someone that will make me happier. Please, have you met someone? I have not met someone. I'm laughing, but I haven't met anyone. I will not make, like before when you make efforts. No, I do make efforts, obviously, but it's like I will not force any link. I want to be pursued. I'm worth pursuing. I'm worth pursuing. I will not pursue any guy and lower my standards. So I want to be pursued. I'm very old fashioned when it comes to dating and all that. So no, I'm single. Single. Yeah.
So my hope and my prayer is that from this day forward, hopefully next year at this time, we'll be having a conversation where you have had all those experiences and we'll be celebrating together. That's my hope and that's my prayer.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, and people are talking about releasing another book. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I feel like the first book it's been quite heavy. It was quite heavy writing it. So I could maybe write another book, but that's not in my immediate plans, to be honest. But thank you so much. Your questions have been really good, definitely poking. And I'm sure you have quite a lot of questions. I don't know how we're doing with time because Abina is keeping it. So we've got 2 minutes. I don't know. Does anyone want to ask a question? Anyone who's watching? If you have a question, we could take one question and then move on. But thank you so much. The questions, I knew you would. I knew you'd be asking good questions. So anyone out there, if you have questions, I mean, the book is there on my page. You can just go on my bio. You would find the link to the Amazon. The book is selling. I've had people in Italy buying. France, do I have where's that country? New Zealand. Lots of support. People have been amazing. To be honest, I've had amazing feedbacks, and it's been very encouraging. And having you and your wife reading it in 2 days, I'm like, okay, maybe I should have written a bigger book. But it's been really, really amazing to. To have that love, even that on the day of the launch, the love that I felt it was truly amazing. Oh, Abina's got a question. Do we even have? I don't even know what time it is. I mean, we do talk with my son, and like I said, for my children, there's 20 seconds. I wish all the best for my children, and hopefully this has not damaged them to the point where they will find themselves in those situations. I pray for them. We do pray for their, I do pray, and sometimes at times they do ask for us to pray for their dads, and I never ever say no. I always put a prayer out there for them and for their relationship to be mended. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.